Alright everyone, we start off today with some sad news, which is that the nation of the Gambia over in West Africa may re-legalize female genital mutilation. And it's called female circumcision by its proponents. It does take a bunch of forms, from basically a labiectomy all the way to literally removing the clitoris and sewing up the vagina, mostly. It's not necessarily a pretty sight, and it's practiced according to some subtenets of Islam, mainly. Though not exclusively. There are other groups that do it for other purposes. I know like in Turkey and places like that where it's not as common, it mainly takes the form of just the removal of the outer labia. And so it's not a clitorectomy or something. And again, it goes all the way down to literally removing the female sexual function. It's not a pretty sight. I would like to point out, though, that a lot of the people that are aghast at that, they say nothing about male genital mutilation, which is also known in the West as circumcision. I believe that it should be banned for infant circumcision purposes. And I say this as someone who's circumcised. I have no dysfunction. I have no problem. But there's always the problem of the possibility of scarring. There is the possibility of sexual dysfunction. It does happen. It's not common, but it can occur. And it's not comparable, I will admit, to the removal of the entire clitoris or sewing up the vaginal opening or something like that. That's admitted, of course. But it still should be prohibited. And there have been a number of times that different nations have tried this. I think Denmark and Iceland both have, because they have highly literate populations, they tend to be on the cutting edge mentally. They've attempted to ban male genital mutilation, and of course it got lobbied against. I wonder who could possibly be lobbying against that. No, you've got to cut off that penis for that infant. I'm being hyperbolic, but it still, in my opinion, is a form of child abuse. I would think that if a doctor is grabbing your newborn boy's dick and cutting into it, I would think, wouldn't that be a sexual assault as well? I think it's perverted myself. Of course, I stand against female genital mutilation as well. I would say my hope is that their attempt to re-legalize this practice in Gambia hopefully fails. While I think that people should have their own cultures, there are certain universal human rights, and as an enlightened Westerner, you need to understand that there are certain universal norms. People used to understand that there was barbarism in the world and we should stand against it, and we should not necessarily tolerate it. It's like, imagine you go back 150 years and you're like, well, this thuggy cult thing, it's very unfortunate, but we have to respect their culture or something like that. No, I don't think that you do. I don't think that you have to respect savagery. And this is savagery. And let's just call it what it is. We practice something similar in the West. We do this to young boys all the time. If you were to try to circumcise a female, even if it was just the labiectomy side of things, so you're not removing the clitoris, the sexual function is perfectly intact, but you're just removing the labia, which would be roughly analogous to circumcision in the male genital mutilation sense. If you were to do that, you'd go to jail. So why do we tolerate it towards our young boys? I think that if a person wants to be circumcised for some religious reason or whatever, when they're older, when they're capable of understanding, hey, this is irreversible, it might cause scarring, it might cause problems, that's perfectly fine if they want to do that when they're an adult. I don't believe that circumcision itself, even if a female wants to get circumcised, hey, for her religious reasons, she does want her pussy sewn up. Well, then that's fine, once you're an adult. I don't believe that it should be happening to children. We need to start caring less about the bullshit linguistic propaganda of the modern Nouveau West and start calling things how they are. We need to call them savagery and barbarism when they're savage and barbaric. I think that sewing up a chick's vagina when she's a little girl is barbaric. I do not believe that it is civilized. I don't believe that it's a mark of a stable state that would even conceive of re-legalizing it. After, I think it was in 2015, they banned female circumcision. But now the hardline Islamists there are trying to bring it back. And, of course, yeah, I stand against it. I think that other people should too. And people don't even talk about it. It's like, because it's in a small country, and most people can't find Gambia on a map, they care less about it, even though there are going to be hundreds of thousands of females that are adversely impacted by this. The odd part, though, is that some female individuals are actually lobbying in favor of this due to their religious beliefs. They want to be able to impose their religion on other people. And that's the whole goal. Again, I would say, once you're 18, if you want to get your clitoris removed for some arcane reason, because you think that it'll bring you closer to God or whatever, and you don't ever want to be able to orgasm again, I mean, yeah, that's perfectly fine. You're an adult. But leave the kids alone would be my suggestion. That's about all. Peace out.